readers, writers, and friends. Story Serpent here, and today we are talking about the Amulet series by Kazu Kibuishi, and I butchered that. Let's try this again. By Kazu Kibuishi. This is book 9, entitled Wave Rider, which was just released in February of 2024. My son, who is 17, has been reading these since book 1 came out. But before we dive in, today's random words are like, share, subscribe, ineluctable. So the Amulet series was published by Scholastic's Graphics imprint, which does all of their graphic novels. And I do have to say, in terms of quality, the Amulet series is absolutely beautiful. All of these illustrations have been, from start to finish, just gorgeous. Honestly, I could just sit here and reread the whole thing. The coloring is absolutely phenomenal, and it just has that clean, almost animated look where the pictures just jump off the page. So if you've got a kid who struggles with reading but loves graphic novels, the Amulet series is going to be a good one to go to. So what's working? In terms of the story, given how long the story is, it's pretty complex, which means that kids are not going to be bored by an overly simple story. They're going to be engaged with the different characters and the different locales that the story takes place in. As far as themes go, this book does one of the best jobs I've ever seen of explaining why you can't force enlightenment. You cannot control people into goodness. And you cannot force people to do what is right and not have some really ugly, dire consequences. Moving people out of that place where they would rather be controlled than take responsibility for themselves is difficult, and it has to be done on a person by person basis. All of that and that sense of individual agency is a huge part of the story. There are various mysteries that get explored throughout, so it's always very intriguing, who is this person? Where did this guy go? Where did this guy come from? The introductions of the various characters is super, super interesting. Again, we have a female main character, but her struggles make sense, especially for the age that she is most of the time. By the end, she's matured a lot, and she's kind of become the grown-up in the room. I don't always love that, especially if there are other grown-ups in the room that should be handling things a little bit better. But that sense of taking agency and making your own choices, I think, is really important for kids to see. And as is often the cliche for middle grade, you got to find a way to get the adults out of the way so the kids can have the adventure. And most of the time, the ways that is done make a lot of sense, and they don't seem to come out of left field. What is not working? For a series this long and this complicated, this book should be at least twice as long as it is. We have brand new characters who are integral to the wrap-up of the climax of this story being introduced at the beginning of this book. That's not enough time. That's a little too Ghost in the Machine for me. There's a lot of hand-wavium that's going on in order to wrap this story. This easily could have been 2 books. There are multiple climaxes happening on multiple different planets, and a fair number of them don't feel satisfying. They don't have that epic adventure high that you would expect from the buildup of a series this long. A lot of them are, we are about to do epic thing, and then it's oh, never mind, we don't have to do epic thing. Turns out, we'll just go over here instead. That happens 3 different times. I wish I could say I was super satisfied by the ending, but I can't, because it's left very open-ended, And a lot of the denouement is just shown. It's just here's 5 or 6 panels across a couple of pages that show, the end, the end, the end, the end, the end. And I don't love that. I like a longer denouement, especially for a story that's 9 volumes long. You really need to take the time to wrap that story and make sure all of the storylines are being wrapped in a satisfying way. That being said, my 17-year-old ate this up the day it got home and was very upset with me that I insisted on reading it first. So it's definitely one that if you've got kids that like a graphic novel, that are looking for a new series, the Amulet series by Kazu Kibuishi, it gets a best beach reads from the Story Serpent, even if it does feel a little preachy at times. I think your kids will really enjoy it. Highly recommend. That's all I've got for today. If you have a story that you would like to see the Story Serpent take on, feel free to put it in the comments below. Till we meet again, read on, write on, stay sharp.